What is your price target for, let's say, 2030 or like
2030 is about 8 years away, so conservatively, I think Tesla might. Yeah.
what is your bull case scenario?
Wow, bull case. Bull case, I would think possibly about.
Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm with Learn Earn Invest Safe, Eric. Today I'll be conducting an interview with him. So Eric, tell us more about yourself.
Hey, so for me, I first learned about investing when I was like 26, 27 years old. So that's like a very long time ago lah. And my colleague first introduced investing because he was doing US stocks then. So he told us a little bit about investing. Then I got interested, and then I went to sign up for this options course. It's something like maybe the one that you're gonna set up. Okay, so I took up this course by Michael Wu. I don't think he's around anymore. As in,
Like day.
I think not dead. Like he stopped doing this class already. So I did that course, and then I dabbled with U.S. option for quite a while, and then the great financial crisis hit. Then I was like, wow. So after that, I was like sort of traumatized, and I stopped actively trading for about 9 to 10 years. Yeah, and then only I think after I got married about 4 5 years ago, five plus years ago lah, then I started to be serious again in
So,
investing.
so from what I know is that you own a couple of REITs, right? So what are your views on REITs now, and what are some REITs you own previously?
Okay, so previously I used to own this Maple Tree Logistic Trust. So far, I think it's worked out pretty well. I hold it for about 10 years or so. So far, I think it's been doing pretty well, steady dividend, and then the distribution was kind of consistent as well. The stock price, not say very volatile, lah, except for the time where COVID hit. So my views on REITs going forward is about the same as 10 years ago. Kind of stable, consistent returns. Nothing spectacular. You probably will grind higher because of inflation. Because basically, what you are is like a diversified giant landlord. So basically, your rent intake will increase over time due to inflation. Yeah, that's my views on REITs.
What are your three highest conviction investment right now?
Okay, so my answer is a bit unconventional. My top conviction idea is obviously Tesla, and that's I think how we got to know each other in the first place because we are both Tesla investors. That's my top conviction in the traditional sense. Then the other two, I think is quite surprising for maybe some of you is CPF, and the last one is myself. Yeah, so I think CPF is a very contentious topic, which I think a lot of YouTubers also talk about it. But for me, I just view it like is a very safe haven, which I put quite a fair bit in. I have to lah. Actually, I put a fair bit in, and I view it as the bonds part of my portfolio lah. Yeah.
So when you say you put your second highest conviction is CPF, do you transfer your money from OA to SA or
No, I don't actually do that. I simply do the voluntary top up to the SA.
to the SA?
Yeah, because my OA, I emptied it paying my HDB.
So what do you mean by the highest investment is yourself? So is it your brains?
Okay, I think like we've been chatting earlier on, I think one of the biggest investment you can make is on yourself. Basically, your philosophy, not just investing philosophy, but philosophy about life. Just now we had a long talk about like what it means to live in this day and age. What is the things that we are chasing after? what gives life's meaning. I think it's a bit too heavy for this interview, but maybe we can talk about it if some of you are interested next time. Yeah.
We will talk about it just later. Okay. So, Eric, what is your take on Tesla?
Okay, long term wise, I am definitely very bullish on it because I made many videos on the things that I think are advantages for Tesla. But the main thing that why I'm super bullish on Tesla is because of Elon Musk and the culture that he built in Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company. All the company that he helms, right, actually have a very innovative and a non-status quo kind of culture, which I think in a big company, right, a big tech company is very rare because a lot of big tech company likes to play safe. I mean, it's quite
No handbook.
yeah. It's there's a he has this very unconventional kind of thinking and the attitude is that he wants to do what he thinks is correct rather than pandering to all those venture capitalists and the stock market pundits and all that. So he doesn't want to cater to people who are in it for the short term, but rather he does it for the good of humanity lah. I mean, if he's looking for like to make a quick buck, I don't think Tesla will be where they are here today. Yeah, so I'm bullish on the person, the leadership, and secondly the culture. So having said that, right, one of the risks that we know about Tesla is that there is a key man risk. Uh, of course, I think that if Elon were to like something happen to him today or tomorrow, Tesla will not go bankrupt. But definitely, I will have to reassess, what is the impact lah? Because basically they lose their biggest marketing avenue. That's Elon Musk, right? His Twitter. Um, yeah, so we have to see. I think it may play out like Apple, where Steve Jobs passed away, and then you have a very capable COO in Tim Cook, and he carries on the business, and Apple goes on to double, triple, and all that. I think Tesla is also at that stage where they can roll without Elon. But then the max I see them go is maybe they can possibly fulfill full self-driving. Maybe the Optimus bot will not come to fruition. That's just my take lah. Possibly.
Yeah, I think he talked about key man risks being that the COO of Apple, Tim Cook, took over as CEO. But I think the position of a CEO should not be named CEO in the sense of Chief Executive Officer, but Chief Vision Officer. I think what Elon provides is vision. He helps to lay out plans ahead so that there's a direction for Tesla to take, and he is the one that is pushing for all the motivation. Like everyone is incentivized to perform at their best. So I think that is what Elon brings to the table, and I agree with him that if Elon is not here anymore, I mean if Elon steps down as CEO, that Tesla will not be able to perform that well lah, and we have to reassess our investment criteria. Okay. Okay. What is the one thing that you are most bullish on? Is it the manufacturing, full self-driving, robotaxi, or Tesla bots, or energy? I would like to hear your take on it.
Currently, at the current moment, I'm most bullish on the manufacturing aspect lah. I mean, for the near to mid-term, it mostly be manufacturing of the EVs, ramping up of their Berlin and also Austin factories. I think near term that will be the most bullish thing. I think FSD, I still think that is actually a good 3 to 4 years away. But if Elon can prove me wrong, I will be very happy lah. Yeah.
Are you worried about all the supply chain shortages, about nickel prices, about lithium prices? Are you bearish on the short term, or like do you think it's not as bullish as before?
I think definitely the supply chain constraints, right, will definitely hamper the uptake of EV adoption generally. But I certainly don't think that is much too much of a headwind for Tesla, because one thing is that they have locked in multiple contracts for multiple years. So I guess they will do fine. I think their projection still stays at about 50% growth annually. But I do see the big picture, right? Like the other players that are trying to come in this space, those new players trying to ramp up, like Rivian, Lucid, all this, they probably will have a pretty hard time to ramp up. I mean, even with the all the available things, Elon still say it's a production hell. So I really wonder, if you have no raw materials, you never sign those long-term contract. Basically, you don't have the volume to assure those producers that you have the capability to take up all those production. I don't see why those miners producers need to sign a contract with you if you're a small player. So I am more bearish on maybe the smaller players. Possibly my take is that the China side, because of the government support, they might be able to like survive and go to volume production. But other than those, I think the US side, I struggle to see any other company like matching Tesla lah. Yeah, but definitely I'm not worried about Tesla. It doesn't keep me up at night, because those things are what worries Elon. I'm just worried for Elon. I hope he stays healthy.
Given the current situation now, what is your price target for, let's say, 2030, or like, let's start with 2025, and what's 2030's price target?
2030 is about 8 years away, so conservatively, I think Tesla might increase minimally. I feel that it's about until 5,000. Like that's a conservative uh, for me lah. I think I'm pretty bearish. If you go on Twitter, I think the people there are a lot more bullish. They are like 10 times by 2030. Yeah.
What is your bull case scenario?
Wow, bull case. Bull case, I would think possibly about 10 to 12 times, like 10 to 12K from now.
It's a bit hard to imagine that Tesla may do 10 to 12 trillion. But okay, where do you think, let's say in the case of a bull scenario, in the bull case scenario, where do you think the 10 trillion will come from?
I think basically my assumption is that I see it like 100% from the sale revenue of new EVs and the sale of the FSD package. I haven't really factored in anything from the energy, the insurance. But from what I last heard, I think the insurance has expanded to 8 states. Yeah, so it probably will bring in a significant chunk of revenue as well. Yeah, so the other parts I have not factored in totally lah. Yeah.
So Eric, what is your take on the future macro environment?
My take is that most of the things will be creeping up in price slowly. Inflation will possibly, not possibly, it most likely will be going up steadily lah. I mean, like at such inflated rates, like what we're seeing now, 6, 7, 8% in the US, I don't think it's sustainable. And I do think that the Fed is going to get a lot more aggressive through the second half of this year in order to bring down the inflation, because the housing prices are going nuts. Yeah, and it's not just in the US, in the other countries as well. I heard in Canada also the real estate prices are like skyrocketing. You can list for like 1.6 million the night, and then the next day it sells for 2 million. So people are willing to pay for desirable properties, and I don't see a way out lah, because every crisis that we have, US solution always seems to be printing more money. So I think inflation is a inevitable consequence of that action.
So Eric, given the worldview you have about the future macro environment, what are things you will do to protect yourself against this future macro environment?
Okay, so I see inflation as a very real risk that is very likely to materialize. So what I did is I bought a little bit of Bitcoin and Ethereum, some cryptocurrency as a inflation hedge. Yeah, in case the inflation really gets out of hand, then I think that this cryptocurrency may act as a good hedge. And the second thing that I think most people can do if you're not comfortable with buying cryptocurrency is to buy a property in a desirable location. So that acts as a natural hedge against inflation. Yeah.
I want to ask about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Do you think Bitcoin and Ethereum are good hedges given the fact that they're actually quite correlated to the stock and equity market? So, for example, if stock is bullish and crypto will be bullish, stock is bearish, crypto in general is quite bearish. So they are not really inversely related. So because of my personal opinion, I don't really think that Bitcoin and Ethereum are good hedges when interest rates go up. So I want to hear more about this from you.
It's actually the reason why I say they are good hedges is not because of past data. It's not past data. It's more like the theory behind it. Because like for example, Bitcoin, right? It has a scarcity, 21 million. So yeah lah. That's the theory. You can't print any more of Bitcoin. Sorry.
Maybe about that.
Yeah. Yes.
They can just print. Yeah, like there's only 3% cash reserve.
Yeah, I heard of it. Yeah. So is Bitcoin to me is still more of a theoretical reasoning more than like what I see historically lah.
Okay, let's move on. So, what are your thoughts on Singapore? Do you think one should stay here or travel abroad often?
I think definitely we should travel abroad more often to enjoy ourselves. So basically, the point of us earning more, finding out how to earn more money is to like really see the world, broaden our horizons, and yeah, to basically to see more of the world. We don't want to be stuck in Singapore, then have a very narrow mindset like, oh, this is the way that things have to be. We go overseas and basically see how other people are doing things. This will help us to so-called broaden our horizon. I think definitely that is a positive thing after COVID settled down, obviously.
Do you think our system in Singapore sort of limits our perspective on a lot of things, or do you think it's okay, or like how much do you think it limits us?
Okay, obviously it doesn't limit us as much as maybe China and maybe North Korea sort of limiting. We don't really have a great. Music is really loud. What was your question again?
I asked if do you think like how much do you think if you don't travel abroad and see other things, right? How much do you think it actually limits us? Do you think like Singapore has everything we need for us to know, or like basically are we like a frog in a well?
Basically.
I think put it out very offensive, so I try to word.
Okay, so I think definitely going overseas, it broadens our horizon. Because recently one of my very good friends came back from Canada, and we were sharing about geopolitical events like the Ukraine, and then we're talking about our religion, like some of those Christian stuff. And then I realized that for him, right, having stayed in Canada for like 3 years, his perspective has started to shift quite significantly. So we were discussing like, yeah, it's quite true that Singapore, we are actually sheltered from very extremist views, like both from the left and from the right. So I think, in a sense, it's good because, like what our MP say lah, we sometimes some of us can't really think very critically, and we are very easily influenced by all this extremist view. So I think it's good that we are more or less sheltered from those kind of very extremist view. But having said that, I think it's good to see things from different perspective, and I do find value, and that's why despite myself, like I identify more as like a growth investor, I still love to see those value investing channels and how they try to value companies based on their free cash flow and things like that. So I find it like DCF lor. So I find it there's value in seeing things from multiple perspective, and not just thinking that wow our method is the best. Like I'm open to people saying that Tesla is trash. Yeah. I just know that they'll be wrong.
Actually, quite true. So I myself, I do a lot. I look at a lot of contrarian view to, because at the start Tesla was not everybody knows about Tesla. It's quite like only a few person talking about it, and there was people that is very against Tesla, and there was people that is very invested in Tesla, and when I start looking at both sides of the argument, and I start to see that which one makes actually more logical sense, and I find that the ones that are pro Tesla, to me, they actually know much more about Tesla than people that are very against investing in Tesla, and most of the stuff that they say is you can debunk what they are saying. So Eric, is it hard being a YouTuber?
I think basically recording videos is kind of fun for me. It's like a hobby so far. It's not really like a job because obviously I don't have enough subscribers to monetize. So, but even if I do have enough subscriber, right, it's not like an income that I need. Yeah, so it's more of like a hobby interest. I like talking about Tesla. I like talking about things that interest me. My latest video on sleep, which is kind of non-financial, but
I think it's important.
yeah, it just kind of intrigues me. So I did a video on that. So I'm not too bothered about like, okay, yeah, initially it's kind of discouraging where you see like you make a video that's like after 1 week there's like 3 views. It's kind of sian, but yeah, but you do it because it interests you ma. And it's yeah. I think the only hard thing is probably like when there's a lot of people that being very mean, very nasty in their comments, and those spam bots like they keep spamming like crypto. So, yeah.
So how do you cope with haters?
I basically ignore them lor, because there's nothing much you can do about it. There's haters everywhere ma. Like so
Does it bring you mental stress initially?
it does. Like I think the case in point about Chicken Genius, all of us are actually have been thinking about it like, oh wow, how can anyone deal with so much negativity, and because our starting point is basically we want to bring value to people, if hopefully so those that are interested in what we have to say, our sharing of our thoughts, they are free to listen, but those that disagree very much, they are also free not to listen, but somehow they disagree so much that they in their mind they like, I have to kill this person. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree with what he says. It's like a lot of times there are just haters that hates you for no reason, no particular reason. They are just there to say whatever they want because they can hide behind a screen and just say whatever it is. But end of the day, we are still human beings. And I feel that like we live in a social group. Last time we lived in a social group of 150 people, like for most of history. And I think the thing about social media is it branches out to us being able to interact to hundred thousands, a million, and if anyone can say whatever they want, it's quite it brings a lot of mental stress for a lot of people. Okay. So Eric, are you optimistic about the future, and why so?
Yes, I am very optimistic about the future. Maybe because I can say that for most of us here in Singapore, we are actually quite privileged. in a sense that we have a stable country, no racism, racial riots, and most of us have HDB, public housing. Uh, then like food and transport here is pretty affordable. Education is accessible to, like, I think everybody. So we're definitely very fortunate here. Um, so being in Singapore makes me optimistic lah. And being a shareholder, an investor of Tesla makes me optimistic about the future of humanity. So yeah, that's what I'm optimistic about. I think there's definitely a lot of things that we can be negative about. We can see that world hunger, corruption, and hate on the internet. There's a lot of negative things to be pessimistic about. But the way I see it, it takes as much effort to be negative as it does to be positive. So
So why not be positive?
yeah, so I'd rather be positive. I choose to see the good in people. Okay, I stole that from Chicken Genius.
Very well said. Very well said. So, okay. Let's go somewhere that is not financial. Yeah, we are not going to talk about financial for this question. I want to ask your take on the meaning of life.
Wow, this is a huge question. I think we have to take one whole episode to do this. Yeah, but recently I have been thinking about the meaning of life and why we do the things that we do. Um, if you can just think about life like earn as much, get as much money as possible, then it's pretty one-dimensional, right? Yeah, it's just that one aspect of our life that I think we should look into. But of course, there are other aspects like to me, I think living life on Earth is like a recent discovery for me. Is to help as much people as I can. Like, yeah, in my job and through this YouTube channel. Yeah, so basically, some people ask like, why start a YouTube channel, right? Like, there are so many YouTube channels out there. Why start another one? Because I think a drop in the ocean still is contributing to the ocean. If I'm able to touch like one person with the message that I'm sharing, I think that is a net win. Like I'm sharing my knowledge and the person has benefited. I think it's a net plus. So obviously I'm not as ambitious as Elon Musk because he want to benefit the whole of humanity, right? And thinking about like to make our whole species multiplanetary. I am not at that level. I'm thinking, how can I help the person around me, the people around me? Yeah, of course, not everyone can be helped. Having said that, there are some people that they are very happy, doing what they do. Like they work 9 to 5, go home, they play with their kids. Then after that, they watch Netflix, and then they're just happy doing their own thing, and nothing wrong with that. That's like awesome for them, right? I mean, the whole point of being alive is hopefully you're happy doing what you're doing. But for me, I tend to think about like what's the purpose and all this. I think this is a very deep issue that we literally spend a couple of hours discussing. Probably we'll have to do another extra episode. Yeah.
I think that everyone throughout their time, I think that everyone throughout their life, at some point, they will ask about this question. It's just when, as long as with consciousness. So I had a very interesting discussion with him just now, and maybe we'll do another video on this. Okay, Eric, I would like to thank you for your time here. What else? Okay, then what? If you guys want more interview, like and subscribe. I'll see you next week.